know that there was a pregnant woman who had her belly cut open, the baby was removed from her stomach and beheaded in front of her. There's videos of this, and yet the
Which
BBC...
is unverified. We haven't seen these videos.
You haven't seen it. I know many people who have seen it.
This is what I said.
But people are being silenced when they highlight what Israel did. You've had one of your own presenters taken off air after calling Israel, holding them to account for what they've done.
However, this is what was broadcast on LBC.
Behaviour, which has led to this
people
action.
are being silenced, holding them to account for
but
what
I
they've
don't think
done.
anyone is being silenced for.
So Sangita Myska is now being talked about quite widely. So it's your power, it's the people's power, that you made this video so viral that everybody is now talking about Sangita Myska and Beldonati as well, to be honest. So much so that a leading MP, a member of parliament, John McDonnell, if you know that John has been a sane voice in the parliament in the last 6 months, single-handedly raising voice on Israeli atrocities and questioning the government on the supply of weapons to a terrorist regime in the Middle East, which is Israel. So he has also joined the campaign. He has signed the petition, which is now viral. It has clocked around 14,000 signatures and counting. And he has urged people, as you can see from on the screen, he has urged people to sign the petition and ask the LBC to immediately reinstate Sangita. Now, it's ironic, isn't it? Sangita has been allegedly taken off air because of being difficult to Israeli guests, even though she was only doing her duty as a journalist. Journalist's job is to play devil's advocate. That's what we were taught, unless the definition of journalism has changed to suit the agenda and propaganda of the fascist regimes. And she was taken off air. Beldonati was just doing her duty on Sky News, taken off air, 4 months gone, not seen on air. A lot is riding on these individuals, and that's why they don't speak. That's why they don't speak in public. So it's our job to piece those jigsaw puzzles together. First of all, I waited for so many days because I wanted a kind of confirmation that indeed LBC has punished Sangita Myska, until I saw an Instagram post by Sangita in which she was saying that this is not the right time for her to say, but she will speak about it at some point. That was an indication, a clear indication that, something is not right. Hence my decision to record that video. And now that has prompted many people on social media to talk about that. And by the way, yesterday, as I said, Sangita used to present her shows on the weekend. Her slot was on Saturday and Sunday. Yesterday, a caller called into her show, which is now being presented by somebody else, and asked the stand-in presenter about the injustice meted out to Sangita. Now, what he says is that his voice was censored. He recorded the question that he has asked, and he also recorded what was broadcast. And what was broadcast, according to him, did not include the element where he was asking the LBC on the censoring of one of its own presenters.
I called in to give my opinion on that exact topic. During this conversation, I brought up the fact that I believe people are being silenced who are talking openly about the war crimes being committed by Israel, and pointed out that even one of his own colleagues has been removed from the airwaves for doing just that. This is what I said.
But people are being silenced when they highlight what Israel did. You've had one of your own presenters taken off air after calling Israel, holding them to account for what they've done.
However, this is what was broadcast on LBC.
Behaviour, which has led to this
people
action.
are being silenced, holding them to account for
but
what
I
they've
don't think
done.
anyone is being silenced for. I've condemned actions by the Netanyahu government.
The irony of Ali Miraj telling me nobody's being silenced when they have literally just dumped the audio to silence me. Journalists like Sangita Myska, who are holding the Israeli government to account, do not deserve to be removed from their jobs for asking questions about the facts. It is literally the role of a journalist to do that.
Now, that has prompted people to draw a parallel. First of all, the tagline of LBC is leading Britain's conversation. If what is being talked about is true, then its tagline should be actually leading pro-Israeli conversation or stifling Britain's conversation. Because how on earth are you leading or facilitating Britain's conversation when you are censoring one of your own presenter's voice just because she was discharging her journalistic duties? And now that has prompted people to draw a parallel with what is happening elsewhere. It's the same country. It's the same country where one presenter gets punished for asking a difficult question or for just being truthful to her job, whilst the other presenter, called Rachel Riley, gets rewarded for being Islamophobic, for being racist. We have seen her conduct more recently when she posted a fake tweet, Islamophobic tweet, in the wake of the terrorist attack in Sydney. Within minutes of that attack, she posted a tweet blaming people from the Muslim community for that attack. While the authorities in Australia were still trying to find out who the person was and what was the motive behind it, she had concluded, along with another disgusting character from Talk TV. Now, clearly, that was not the case.
Joel Couchy has been identified as the offender in this matter. We are continuing investigations in relation to him. As I had said last night, there is still, to this point, nothing that we have, no information we have received, no evidence we have recovered, no intelligence that we have gathered that would suggest that this was driven by any particular motivation, ideology or otherwise.
And she had to apologize. But even in her apology, she referred to Islamic terrorism. Can you imagine Islamic terrorism? Is there something called Islamic terrorism? How would she feel if we were to call her the face of Jewish terrorism? Because if you look at her tweets since October the 7th, she has been promoting hatred. How would she feel about it? Now, she was the one who appeared on Newsnight very early in the crisis. I don't know what Newsnights or any other channels feel so great in her that they decide to, give platform to these hate mongers. So she appeared on Newsnight, and as you know, taking a leaf out of Israeli propaganda book, she started spreading that lie that how an Israeli woman's womb was cut open by Hamas fighters and, and all kind of like lies that Israelis love to peddle. And when she was told that there is no evidence to establish that particular lie, she started whining about it. As if, how dare anybody bust her lies? She's entitled to spread those lies. She's entitled to spread hatred.
There was a pregnant woman who had her belly cut open, the baby was removed from her stomach and beheaded in front of her. There's videos of this. And yet the
Which
BBC...
is unverified. We haven't seen these videos.
You haven't seen it. I know many people who have seen it. These videos are in existence. There's countless others and countless other examples that the journalists sat through the other day to prove this is existing because of such denial. And organisations like the BBC refuse to call these terrorists terrorists. It's grotesque, it's indefensible, and it allows obfuscation. It allows people to claim freedom fighters. It's just indefensible, and it's fueling anti-Jewish hatred in this country.
And Channel 4, as much as I am a fan of their news, I think on these occasions they have let themselves down and they have let the audience down. I am not a big fan of cancel culture, but you cannot have a hate monger. A hate monger that she's apologizing. It's not even insinuation. She has deleted that tweet and she has apologized for her action, for her lies. Imagine the reach that her tweets have. Imagine the impact that it would have on Muslims living in this country and the safety of their children. Now, Met Police should have been involved, but Met Police being Met Police, as you know, they have their own yardsticks. What stops Channel 4 from sacking her? What value does Channel 4 get by being associated with a hate monger? You can't blame people who draw a parallel between Sangita Myska, Bel Donati and Rachel Riley. That on one hand, Rachel Riley continue to get rewarded despite being horrible person on social media, despite spreading hate against one particular community, in this case Muslims, while on the other hand, upright journalists like Bel Donati and Sangita Myska continue to get punished for just being journalists, for just doing their duties. I mean, this is where we are in 2024. This is how the United Kingdom has become in 2024. We are not talking about like 60s or 70s. It's 2024. Despite being privy to everything, all the information, and you and I are not saying it, United Nations bodies are saying it.
283 bodies were recovered, of which 42 have been identified. Victims had reportedly been buried deep in the ground and covered with waste. Among the deceased were allegedly older people, women, and wounded, while others were found tied with their hands. They were found with their hands tied and stripped of their clothes.
How close are we? How close are we of talking about crimes against humanity? If we mention what you just said at the beginning of the press briefing, how close?
Oh, thanks, Jeremy. Unfortunately, we have been warning about war crimes since October now. We are horrified also by the destruction of An-Nasser Medical Complex and Al-Shifa Medical Complex and the reports of the discovery of mass graves in and around facilities. And we call for independent, effective, transparent investigations into the deaths. Given the prevailing climate of impunity, this should include international investigators. Hospitals are entitled to very special protection under international humanitarian law. And let's be clear, the intentional killing of civilians, detainees, and others who are hors de combat is a war crime. But the latest images of a premature child who was taken from the womb of her dying mother, of the adjacent two houses where 15 children and 5 women were killed, this is beyond warfare.
Every piece of atrocities committed by Israel in Gaza is being documented not just by you and I, but credible agencies of United Nations, of which United Kingdom and the USA are part. But they are choosing to turn the blind eye. They are choosing to be complicit with these crimes against humanity. That is the most worrying part of the whole thing. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.